He captured our hearts and minds during his time spent in Oregon and on the big screen. But tonight, Keiko the killer whale has died at the age of 27. Good evening, I'm Steve Dunn. Natalie is off tonight. New at 11 o'clock, Keiko the killer whale died earlier today in Norway. And those who cared for him over the years say they are saddened by his death, but say his story will remain one that will inspire people for years to come. This is video of Keiko in the Norwegian Bay where he would spend his last days. Keiko playfully tipping over a rubber raft, letting a small child scratch his back. And as he did nearly everywhere he went in his travels, drawing a crowd. His caretakers say Keiko died suddenly Friday afternoon after the sudden onset of pneumonia. He started showing signs of weakness and loss of appetite Thursday. Veterinarians gave him antibiotics, but it wasn't apparent how sick he was. He died just 24 hours later.
Can you see him? Can you see him?
Oh, looky.
Got him now.
Oh, wow. Come on, go down and dive. Come on.
Keiko first captured our imagination in 1996. He touched down at the Oregon Coast Aquarium on January 7th of that year. He was brought to Newport after years of living in cramped headquarters at an amusement park in Mexico City. After he starred in a Warner Brothers movie, Free Willy, a move was launched to return him to the wild. When he came to Oregon, we knew it was just a temporary stop in the effort to return him to his home waters off of Iceland. After a couple of short years, we hoped for the best as Keiko was placed in a container by the United Parcel Service and flown in an Air Force jet to Iceland.
Now that he's leaving, it's kind of a sad thing, but it's also very exciting to see that he's making that next step.
We cheered when Keiko splashed down in Iceland, knowing that Keiko was finally home, back in the waters where he was born. In 2000, we grew more hopeful when he began taking what his trainers called open ocean walks to interact with his wild counterparts for the first time in more than 20 years. His ocean walks eventually led him hundreds of miles away to Norway, where he never became fully free, still depending on humans for his food. Charles Vinnick helped spearhead the effort to release Keiko back into the wild.
I think his legacy is that he shows two things. He shows what people can do when they put their hearts first, and he also shows the kind of thing we as people can never know about another species, the intestinal fortitude that they have to do what they can do to survive in the wild and to survive everything we as humans can throw at them.
Keiko's current caretakers, the Humane Society of the United States, says Keiko's body has been secured in a floating pen near where he died. They've received permission from a nearby landowner to bury him on property not far away. And of course, thousands upon thousands of people journeyed to Newport to see Keiko when he was here in Oregon. And for them, their experience with the famous whale gave them a personal connection. K2's Brian Barker continues our team coverage tonight, live in Portland. What are people saying tonight, Brian?
Well, Steve, a lot of people are very sad. You know, it's really amazing how attached some people have become to Keiko. And now, more than 5 years after he left the Pacific Northwest, a lot of people here really feel like they've lost something. From the big screen where Free Willy dazzled millions, to the Oregon Coast Aquarium where tens of thousands from the Pacific Northwest came to watch and wonder. Keiko the whale was an icon, practically adopted by the state of Oregon.
I wish he didn't pass away, and I wish he found his family.
The movie that made Keiko famous is still on the shelf at this Portland video store.
We enjoyed seeing Keiko at the aquarium. We went probably 3 times when she was little. But, oh well. It's so sad.
More than 5 years have passed since an airplane whisked Keiko to Iceland.
Well, I guess people identify with their heroes, and he was quite a star. I think he had a very good life.
And while many who journeyed to the coast still feel a connection to Keiko,
I haven't seen the movie either. I guess it really doesn't affect me in any way.
So much time has passed. Some feel no connection at all.
A part of Oregon died.
Although those who loved Keiko really loved him. And wished, like in the movie that made him famous, the lovable whale would swim off into the sunset, truly free from the people who cared so much.
And I hope he had a good time before he died.
There were 2 sequels to that first movie, Free Willy. In fact, Free Willy itself was so popular that Warner Home Video sold 16 million copies of the movie. We're live in Portland tonight. Brian Barker, K2 News.
Brian, thanks a lot. Keiko's journey to freedom has spanned more than 2 decades. Here's a look back at some important dates. In 1979, Keiko was captured off the coast of Iceland. He spent his first 3 years of captivity in an Iceland aquarium. In 1982, Keiko was sold to Marineland in Ontario, Canada. 3 years later, he was sold for $350,000 to an aquarium in Mexico City. In '93, Keiko became a star in the movie Free Willy. In January of 1996, he made his home on the Oregon coast. In September of 1998, nearly 20 years after his capture, he returned home to Iceland. The 27-year-old whale died this afternoon in Norway after a sudden onset of pneumonia. And for continuing coverage of Keiko's death, stay with K2 News. We'll have more of the story, of course, throughout the weekend.